Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2, and I'm back again with another book review. Recently, I decided to read the final book in Christopher Paolini's Eragon series called Inheritance, or The Vault of Souls, and it actually reminded me a little bit of Earthsea, which I've never read, but having seen the movie, when he talks about actual names, your character has their given name, and then they have their second name, the name be the name that their true name, so to speak. And apparently, speaking this name opens the Vault of Souls, which Eragon thinks is a bunch of hogwash to begin with, but it actually takes quite a while to get to this point, and especially when we get to the Battle of Gallbitorix and all that, and I still love Sapphira and her character, and Angela the herbalist was very intriguing as well, and Era the elf, I love Era, and Glaedr the golden dragon I thought was fantastic. He was really a sage character, one that was always offering both Sapphira and Eragon his wisdom through telepathy, because dragons and their riders can form a telepathic bond once they're linked. Um, and then, of course, there are other dragons who are free from this. They don't prefer the company of riders because they think that would be too confining for them, and they want to be um, free, basically, of that restraint. And they feel like if they were bound to a rider, that they would have no freedom whatsoever. And there was a part where Sapphira was speaking about that, and she says, "What we hate in the dragons that do not have riders is actually what we also admire." And the same for them when it comes to us. They think that we're tame, and they think that we are too easily controlled and manipulated and gullible and all that, and malleable. But I've always loved these characters, Eragon and Roran, and it's actually just jam-packed of action, adventure, magic, and what you would expect in a typical Paolini book. And he writes a letter at the very end. He doesn't know if he'll return to Alagacia or not, but it would be interesting if he does, because he left some questions unanswered, I thought. I don't know if any of you other readers, if you've come across Inheritance and enjoyed it as much as I did, because I savored it. It's a tome. I mean, look at this. This is massive. This book could be used as a paperweight. It's so heavy, but it's 800. I don't know if I should count the dictionary at the end or not. Maybe I should. Hold on. It is 849 pages, and counting the dictionary and the acknowledgments, it's actually 860 pages. And apparently, he has a website, which I'm definitely going to have to check out. But I can just picture these characters in my mind's eye, and I am just awestricken. I am completely inspired by Christopher's work and just his imagination. And there was one part that kind of reminded me of Doctor Who, but I think maybe he was inspired by Doctor Who, because in one part in the book he talks about certain magic that people will never begin to understand, like rooms that are bigger on the inside than they are on the outside. I thought, he's talking about the TARDIS in a book that is a fantasy book, but Maybe he was, I don't know, but I probably read too much into that. But I just couldn't help but thinking about the TARDIS in that instance because I thought it was interesting and also very amusing to me. According to how I've been bemused by, I shouldn't say bemused, I have been very amused by the series itself, and I think that Inheritance is the finest book in the saga, and of course it's the largest, but it's the best written, and it's just really it captures the imagination, and I could just see all these different things occurring, and there is a happy ending, but however there are a lot of questions that I thought were up in the air at the very end, and I wasn't really sure how he was going to answer them, or if he was just going to leave that up to the reader, but we'll see. I'm hoping that he writes more books because I'll certainly read them. I'm a huge fan of his. But thanks to this book and Game of Thrones, I'm writing my own story called the Slacker Knight and the Brave Peasant, and basically the synopsis is you've got this nephew of the king, Louis de Lis, and his name's Valiant of all things, which is ironic, very ironic, because he really doesn't do much. I mean, he'll go and fence with his butler Curio, or he'll play darts, or just loll around and sit on his laurels and do nothing. And if there's a marauding horde coming through the town or the valley or wherever in this kingdom, he says, "I'll let somebody else do it. Send the infantry. They'll take care of it. I know they're out fighting my uncle's battles. Just let them take care of them the thieves." And of course, my main character, my hero, Solomon Malachi. I give a reason why he was named Malachi, because he really doesn't have any parents. He was orphaned. He's raised by a group of nuns from the Order of Malachi. Basically, that's why he adopts that last name for himself. And he is an apprentice to a blacksmith named Darius the Wise, who dabbles in a little bit of alchemy. But I'm gonna write a little bit more about that, and of course I've got a another skit that I'm doing that I would love to see perform at a con. Basically, it's a hotline called Evil Villain Hotline, which is kind of a redundancy. I meant for it to be funny. And the whole idea of it is you've got all the villains from the Doctor Who series, well, the recent ones, and I've got one from a spin-off K9, one of my favorites, Inspector Thorn. You just love to hate him, and you want to slap him or shake him. Ooh, he makes me so mad. But I had him involved too, and I'm going to have a weeping angel called Hotline, which will be interesting because they don't really talk, so how are they going to know it's a weeping angel that's calling? I don't know. But I'm actually going to post that on there because it's going to be hilarious, but it'll probably be my funniest one since the two Dalek-related skits that I did, which I absolutely love doing because I could just see them dancing, just turning around, because they really don't they really can't dance too much. They could just twirl. They got rhythm. They can tap with their little plungers, but other than that, they really can't do too terribly much because they're just because of the way they are. It's just funny just to see them do that. And some of the lines that all the lines I have for the Dalek are just hysterical, at least in my opinion they are. I don't know. You can go read them on fanfiction.net, and it's part of my zany brain. I did a Doctor Who bot manual, which I thought was really fun to write. It was the same thing as when I did my Serial Bot 2.0 for the raccoons, if any of you remember that beloved Canadian cartoon, which is one of my favorite cartoons when I was a little girl. Amongst other things, I'm thinking about writing another Dan Versus fanfic. I actually looked at my fanfiction.net reviews on Dan versus Danielle, which is something I came up with just, off the top of my head. And someone says, you should write about Dan and Hortense. And I thought, yeah, I should, because they had 2 episodes together, and in the second one, she elopes with Mr. Burgerfile, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if Dan tried to crash that elopement? That's actually a good idea. I don't know. No one's ever written something like that before, so I'll give it a shot. Besides, I think he and Hortense are made for each other. Other than that, I've been pretty busy, and I really don't know what else to say other than I give Inheritance 5 stars. And if you have enjoyed the first 3 books of the saga, then definitely you have to read Inheritance. I require it, I recommend it, and it will behoove you to read it. So read it, please. You will not be you won't be sorry. I know it's a lot. I know it's a freaking brick, but you can. It is splendid reading. It truly is. It's really remarkable. So by all means, read Inheritance when you have the chance. It's terrific summer reading. You will not regret it. I guarantee you will not regret it if you've enjoyed the Eragon saga so far. Because it's the finest. It is the acme of the series.